another edition of the Pick It Downs podcast. I'm your host, per usual, Sean Tyson, here with Zoo and P. Bush. How you fellas doing?
Doing all right, man. It was a tough week in fantasy, man. The big players didn't come to play, and by Mageddon, mix those two together, man. You got a nice little 100-point week. You ain't going to win no matchups putting up 100 points in half-point PPR. But I still pulled out 2-2. I'll take it. DFS, very solid. I'll touch on that a little bit later. And the Bears are bearing down. The Hoosiers are Hoosiering, man. So it was honestly a great sports weekend. Other than Zoo, I think the Bulls took a loss to the Bucks early in the weekend. Starting to come back down to earth a little bit.
Regression. Low regression.
Like, little regression.
One seed, seeing the Bulls at the top of the East, man. It's a feeling I haven't had since 3 years ago with those DeMar DeJordan Bulls, man.
Sure.
It's been a while since I got oh wow, they're actually fun to watch for a bit. I was
there we go.
Giddy. And aka Mr. Triple Double right there. So.
And thank God you don't live in Chicago, because finding a Chicago Bulls, you can't get the games, man. You got to get League Pass, and I just can't bring myself to do it. Even though I'm into fantasy basketball this year, man, I've actually been heavily considering it, because every time I'm watching the game casts, I'm come on, make the shot. But yeah, man, it's been a good sports last few days, other than fantasy football, unfortunately.
Oh yeah, we had off last week, but last week I went 0-4 in fantasy.
Ooh.
So you know what happens this week? 4-0, man.
4-0
to the mean, baby. That's how it works. When you have those weeks and your entire teams, all your teams suck, and you see it was 80 points, 90 points. So everybody sucked. The next week they always bounce back, man. So Gibbs gets a 4-point week, comes back with a 30+ piece. So that's just sometimes how fantasy works. That's how life works sometimes. The highs and the lows, man. Don't get too high and don't get too low, because my goodness, things could change really, really quick. So this is a beautiful week. I'm going for a top score in pretty much all my leagues except for one of them. So yeah, it's been the scoring this week was
a ton.
Lots. It was a lot. We saw a lot of big plays. The running backs this year have been unbelievable. A lot of big plays. So yeah, it was a really, really high scoring week. So in fantasy, it's a beautiful thing to watch. So.
Same for me in fantasy. Like I said, the other two leagues I'm in, care about them. Obviously, I feel like my team's a little bit more static because I'm in, it's 10 and less leagues. So for me, I feel like my teams are configured in a way that I know I'm going to have up and down weeks, but more than likely I'm going to have up weeks. The 14-team league is always volatile. Week before that, Brock Bowers just went off, so I knew I was winning that week. It always is a blessing in disguise when you have a guy that's been off of I guess you would say a 3-week hiatus, just come in, because I kind of wasn't paying attention when it was coming across the timeline. Hey, Brock Bowers is playing this week. So I'm like, a little throw in. I'm not really high on Geno. And then he pops for 44, 43 points. So I was like, that's an easy dub. And then this week is kind of just, now it feels like I'm separating a little bit. I think my record's going to be around 6-3, 7-3, I think, in the 14-team league. And it's going to be now we're just positioning for playoffs and things like that. So fantasy is very, very volatile. Having Josh Allen, Brock Bowers in any week you could win. So hopefully I can keep that momentum going into the next couple of weeks so I can position for maybe a number 1, number 2 seed. Who knows? But probably number 2 seed, because I think the other guys only got 1 loss. So probably number 2 seed. But we'll see about that. But, took last week off. Now we're back into the flow. So kind of want to get into some topics about what's been going on in the NFL. And the Texans and the Ravens, let's say maybe about 3 weeks ago, we all had them kind of CJ is kind of returning back. Some would say he was regression to the mean and being an average quarterback. And then with the Ravens, not only Lamar getting hurt, the defense was not that good. There's a lot of rumors about John Harbaugh maybe being on the hot seat. Well, now they're both 4-5. And I wanted to ask the guys, who do you trust? And full disclosure, I did this in the morning looking at it, and I didn't look at any of the schedules and stuff like that. I just feel like this is kind of an easy answer. But, P-Bush, where are you going with the Ravens or Texans?
Well, Texans side, man, their defense is impeccable. I'm actually surprised at how well the Jaguars played against them. Putting up 29 points. I think the majority of that, obviously, in the first three quarters, because they got absolutely shut down by Davis Mills in the fourth quarter, man. He brought me back to winning green pastures in on DraftKings this weekend. But, hey, I have to say it. If you're a Nico Collins shareholder, man, you're happy to see them force feeding him the ball more. Dalton Schultz, too. We've always known he's kind of a possession tight end, a bit of that Jake Ferguson, obviously a former Cowboy himself. They have some solid weapons there, man. I don't know if it's their O-line issues, which we've highlighted a few times throughout this first half of this season. But their defense is really what brings it home. And so for them to falter that much, I was like shocked at that game. And it was pretty much a pick 'em between in a betting sense between the Jaguars and the Texans. But looking at the Ravens, man, like they won 3 in a row. Lamar's back. I actually thought it was a positive thing to see him running the ball a little bit more this past week compared to maybe the first 1 or 2 weeks that he had been back off the hamstring injury. My biggest concern about the Ravens is the other guy that's supposed to be running the ball, man, Derrick Henry. Hit a wall. I mean, look, he's still a great running back, and as an opposing team, you still have to scheme for him because the last thing you want is him breaking one off, getting the confidence and the footing underneath him to continue powering through. And we know how well he plays when the Ravens are playing with a lead, right? But this win against Minnesota, even though Derrick Henry didn't have that great of a game, and to be honest, Lamar didn't put up amazing numbers either. 175, I think, in a touchdown. I might have had a rushing one as well. But, they're spreading the ball around. Their offense looks to be in relative rhythm outside of Henry. It could be, once again, Vikings have a great run defense. So it could just be some of these matchups that are going against him. And then adding on top of that, when Lamar was injured, it was just horrible game scripts for him. So I am positive maybe on his potential regression in a positive sense. Up to his usual, maybe not last year or a couple years before that. But, quality running back, 1,100 yards, 1,200 yards for the season. I think that's what you can ask of him at 31 years old. But their defense has actually been the more impressive thing the last few weeks. I mean, Roquan Smith seems to be flying around again. Their secondary is getting a little bit healthier. They're getting more pressure on the quarterback. I mean, J.J. McCarthy looked like he was seeing ghosts a little bit out there, even with Mr. Kevin O'Connell, the quarterback for himself. He ain't hearing anything right now, J.J. McCarthy. So, man, whatever this number 9 alter ego or whatever, man, you got to keep that man in check because he's making some poor decisions with some fantastic weapons on the other side. So I actually think the Ravens, it was a positive sense. It was on the road too, which I think is always a good thing to see for a team that was 1-5 through the first 6-7 weeks. Ravens, I think it's just their path. The Texans have against, the Colts are humming behind the potential MVP. 8-2, man. I mean, I believe they're 4-5, the Texans. So obviously they have the half game up. Colts have their bye, I believe, this coming week. But, they're also still competing with the Jaguars, who are a full game ahead. And they did just beat. That's huge for tiebreaker. But people forget, man, look at the other team that's still in the hunt, man. They're not in the hunt. They're outside the playoff picture, but in the hunt if the playoffs are started. The Kansas City Chiefs are still out of the playoffs, man, with how well the Broncos and Chargers are both playing. And I just think that if it's the Jaguars, Texans, or one of those 3 AFC West teams. I'm leaning AFC West, all 3 of them over the 2 non-Colt AFC South contenders. And the Ravens, they're a game behind the Steelers for the division. And
the Steelers really blew that. They should have won. That Chargers game, they needed that.
They needed to win yesterday. They got manhandled low-key. I mean, their wide receivers outside of DK Metcalf, and even when Rodgers was targeting him, he was overthrowing him, man. He made a couple bad throws, and then when he makes good throws to non-DK Metcalf, they drop it, man, and it pops up for an interception or just a horrible incompletion. So that I literally wrote that down. The Steelers are faltering, right? We're seeing them come down a little bit, hovering more around that Mike Tomlin 9-8 range.
Yep.
Just a mid-team every year
that we had talked about, maybe them hitting when they were looking good earlier this season. So I think their defense will be fine on the Pittsburgh side. But with the Ravens creeping up and their team coming to fruition a little bit more than we'd seen the past few weeks, I think the Ravens win this division, barring another couple Joe Flacco insane games before Burrow comes back, and he might come back after Thanksgiving. And this could end up being a very interesting AFC race because only one team is going to make it to the playoffs this year in that division, especially with the Steelers kind of faltering and just how well the AFC has been playing. So I'm going to lean the Ravens just on odds side. I think if you were to actually look at it, it's like 70% for the Ravens to make the playoffs, and Texans might only have 35% or something like that. So, I just think the Ravens have better outlook and way better talent.
Yeah, absolutely. As you mentioned, the defense is a lot of help, man. People are getting healthier on the other side of the ball, so the defense isn't as atrocious as my last impression of the Ravens defense was when they got absolutely massacred by the Houston Texans. Like, I remember I was like, what the? Like, I knew the defense is bad, but they played against a team that the offense was absolutely struggling, and they were able to drop 44 points with the QB that was having his worst year ever, and with the team that's having one of its worst offensive season with CJ Stroud leading them. So for that, I was like, wow, this defense is awful. But now you see them racking up a couple of wins now. Lamar Jackson, when he's on the field, that's a top 5 offense. It's a team that scores 30 points pretty easily, and even with Derrick Henry struggling, and he is absolutely struggling. Like, absolutely struggling. Like, last year, we saw the juice. We saw the big plays where he gets these 50-yard rushing touchdowns, and he's not been able to do those. And even at the goal line, like, he getting his stuff a couple times. Like Justice Hill got that rushing touchdown.
I couldn't believe it.
Like that, I'm like, at the 1 yard line for that's the King Henry zone. And they didn't use him. They used Justice Hill. It wasn't like the game was over either. It was still a competitive game. So they went with Justice Hill. He cashed it in. Props to Justice Hill. But Derrick Henry, obviously, is this the age finally catching up to an all-timer? This is a Pantheon running back he's a Hall of Fame running back. This dude, close to 2,000 rushing yards. Like, he had some of the greatest running back seasons. And I don't know, the fumbles at the beginning of the year got into his head. But his yards per carry, is just not that good. Like, if you look at that game, 20 carries for 75 rushing yards, 3.8 yards per carry. Wow.
Got to be sub 4.
Yeah, sub 3. Yeah, 3.8. Wow. Keaton Mitchell had that big run. Like, Keaton Mitchell. This guy's back from injury. You get 4 carries for 31 rushing yards. Like, Lamar even also had 9 carries for 36 yards. So pretty much King Henry was the most inefficient rusher for this team against this Minnesota Vikings defense. It's a solid defense, but like, you expect from 20 carries that King Henry is going to get more than 75 rushing yards when he's given the rock that many times. So obviously that is, I think, is a major problem because their identity is rushing the football. And if you're not rushing at an elite level, because King Henry is nowhere playing like a top 5 running back, there's a lot of elite running backs that's carrying the ball at an elite level this year, making big plays. Like, it's not these little plays. They're making these 40, 50-yard rushing touchdowns or receiving touchdowns. We've seen it from these big play abilities right now where one of those plays could completely change the game, and Derrick Henry has not been doing that. And like I said, like Lamar Jackson in the playoffs, you're going to need one of these running backs to do a big play for them to get it done. But as far as the playoffs, like, I thought I had him as a lock at the beginning of the year, and even post-injury, I still had faith that if Lamar came back, they could win this division, and nothing's changed about that. Like, Aaron Rodgers, is a mid-team, and they're only a game back. Like with all the injuries, they're a game back. So pretty much they have an opportunity to smash this division. But as you mentioned, like, you're gonna have to win the division to make the playoffs this year with the competitiveness of the conference. So for me, that's an easy play. For me, is the Ravens, because the Texans, man, like, I think that game this past week speaks more of that Jaguars, because that is probably, like, I feel like I saw the frustration of the head coach. Like, he's about to break something, because how do you blow a lead when you're up 29-10? And because Trevor Lawrence in that three quarters, he was not playing well.
No,
he was not, like, Trevor Lawrence, man, he sucks. Like, he actually sucks.
Really? Someone says it. Other than me.
Dude, I'm like, because I own a lot of Jaguars, so I tend to, like, keep an eye on the offense. And it's just 3 and out, and him throwing picks in the red zone, him fumbling the play. He is so bad. Not only does he have no big play ability, like throwing the ball down the field, he misses the little dink and dunk routes.
Check downs,
the check downs. He turns the ball over a little too much for a guy that's not making, like, any big plays. Like, he turns the ball in the red zone too. And he fumbles the ball. So I'm like, Trevor Lawrence is just he's an atrocity. Like, he's probably the weakest link on this team right now, because I think the rushing game is okay. Like, even Parker, like, the special teams.
Parker,
that special team touchdown. I'm like, shout outs to him, because I benched BTJ and put him in, and he got me 2 touchdowns. So yeah, like the defense and special teams is all right, but, like, it's the offense that's very mediocre. Even when they dropped 29, like, that was defense, special teams getting them those points. It was not the offense. So I'm like, I remember when they had a really good winning percentage. They only lost 1 game so far. I'm like, this is such a mediocre team. And finally, the losses are climbing up. So good for the Texans. Even with the backup quarterback, I think the Jaguars are just a bad football team.
Agreed.
It's just a bad football team. I think they have no chance of making the playoffs. And the Texans, for me, I'm just like, oh, Davis Mills, he's adequate. Give him props for the comeback, but doesn't really speak too much to me right now because I don't think that rushing game's that good either. Because Nick Chubb, I think he's kind of done.
Like, yeah, he's out.
Like Woody Marks isn't there.
Like Woody Marks, he might have some potential for years coming out, but he's still not that guy either. So I just feel like on the offensive side, you mentioned the defense. The defense is special. The defense is really, really good.
Really good.
They don't really have any weaknesses defensively. Like sometimes they just allow the quarterback to rush for 10 yards when they're a man coverage, completely wide open, they run up. But outside of that, it's really, really elite defense, but the offense just can't support them. I'm sick of watching this Texans offense.
So ugly.
It's so ugly, and they got to respect. Nico Collins, still a great player, as you mentioned. They're force feeding him the ball, so he's getting some nice numbers now because he was off to a significantly slow start too. So I'm looking at that offense. I'm just that offense is not impressive to me at all. So I'm pretty much out on the Texans. This is the Colts division. We'll get to see Danny Dimes in the playoffs to see if he could prove himself. Because in the regular season, I'm like, okay, you get those nice easy wins, and I got to mention again with Danny Dimes. We've seen those situations when he has to come back. I'm like, when he throws the ball, I get a little nervous. He might look at that special weapon, that running back right next to him. But when he's asked to come back games, it's a little tougher for him to throw that ball. So yeah, it's a great team. It's great in a really, really bad division. They have dominated. They should make the playoffs, but we'll see. We'll see going forward. But yeah, with the Texans, Jaguars,
the AFC South is ugly, man.
Yeah, just and the Tennessee Titans, they're going for the number 1 pick this year. So absolutely, it's a really bad division. So yeah,
yeah, it's I kind of didn't do the research that I should have because when I posed the question, I didn't really understand the Ravens' schedule going forward. And once I actually was looking at it before the pod. I was like, I didn't know the Browns were there twice. Bengals. The only ones that's really a threat is possibly the Steelers and the Patriots. But I think that Patriots game is the last game of the season. So they might have the division wrapped up or whatever the way they may be resting guys. So who knows? But yeah, part of this why it's compelling for me is because I really do believe in that Texans defense. And I think they're so elite that if CJ just kind of maybe comes back from concussion protocol, whatever, and he's possibly playing at a high level going towards the end of the season, there's a way that I could see them streaking and going into the playoffs high. But that's a lot of factors that's got to be going in the right direction. And, Woody Marks, to you guys' point, I think he's a good back. It's just I think he's a little bit more situational right now. And there's just, Nico's having a resurgence with Davis Mills, but you would prefer if that was with CJ Stroud. So if he's going to come back and be the starter, then it's then maybe that throws it out of whack. So I don't know. But yeah, to you guys' point, I think the Ravens is kind of more the easy answer here. I do want to go back to Trevor Lawrence for a quick second. And I was thinking about this because looking at Fields, I'm starting to just accept this idea of I don't know if it's the quarterbacks or if it's just the franchise. I think certain franchises just no matter what all pro, all type of quarterback you are, that franchise is not going to get the best out of you. Because now that I'm seeing guys like Daniel Jones go out and do what he's doing, Sam Darnold do what he was doing. Sam Darnold was previously at Carolina. Baker was previously at Carolina, did squat. You see Sam Darnold went to the Jets, did absolutely nothing. Now you see him get with as much as you want to say Kevin O'Connell is like the Minnesota Vikings and he's a great head coach, the Minnesota Vikings, I feel like overall is a stable organization. I don't feel like they're one of the, worst 5 teams in the last 21st century. So I always went with these guys. Some guys I think may just need a change of scenery. And I think with Trevor, obviously at Jacksonville, it's not going to work. I think after this year, they're probably going to have real discussions about, okay, are we going to draft a quarterback? Or are we going to bring another veteran in? What are we going to do? Because it's ran its course. Because it's not like you don't have weapons yet. ETN is playing at his highest level since last year. BTJ, there's just, and I know the Waldron thing, but even still, his talent should not be this wasted after what he did last year. Like I said, Parker Washington turning up, and I think Brenton Strange got injured.
Jacoby Myers, Jacoby.
Yeah. So they have talent. So it's not like Trevor doesn't have any. So maybe it's just a change of scenery. But yeah, overall, I agree with you guys. I just think the defense is playing at a higher level for the Ravens. They're getting a lot of turnovers. I do like that, to your point, people, you talked about Lamar running hoping that'll be a sign that could open up, or I don't know, just maybe get the ball rolling, for lack of a better term, with Derrick Henry, because it is a little concerning that maybe he hit a wall. Now, some could argue Keaton Mitchell. I don't know what year that was, 'cause I know he got hurt. Maybe it was last year he got hurt, but I remember when he first came on the scene, I remember even in fantasy, he was like kind of a sleeper getting off the waiver because he was having like long touchdown runs and these explosive plays. So maybe that's a new, I guess you would say, option for them, because it is with Lamar. I feel like sometimes some of his guys, like it's like the Bateman factor last year. Like Bateman, I don't think is like this elite receiver, but he just would get a bunch of touchdowns because it's like Lamar just is scrambling around and he can find him down the field and throw him open. So maybe I don't even want to say that Keaton's like there's a chance he could take over the backfield, because I just still think Derrick Henry has a chance to still get to a space where he's really, really good. But that's the only concerning part I see with the Ravens, because to your guys' point, like the schedule is good enough to where I think they're going to be able to run it. I kind of forgot the whole Chiefs being out of the playoffs. Like they really might get 3 out of that division, which is pretty insane. Just looking at it right now. So yeah, there is no margin for error. They have to win the division. So yeah, I'm going to lean with the Ravens there, and it's kind of a clean sweep. Like I said, I wish I probably would have looked at it before, but where I don't think there's going to be a clean sweep is this discussion about the MVP. And I kind of got prompted by this actually yesterday, just looking at Jonathan Taylor and how he's been running around and running rampant, and also the play of Matthew Stafford. Even I think I want to say last Sunday when he was playing the Saints, it felt like a practice. They were just hitting up a bunch of different receivers and scoring touchdowns. And then obviously with the other guy, Drake May, who is, I wouldn't say a rookie, but he's kind of young in his career, and he's throwing to a lot of guys. I mean, respect to Stephon Diggs. He was a guy that was at the top of his game probably 2-3 years ago, but he's on the downside, and he's got other guys that I don't know many of us have heard of. I mean, I guess Hunter Henry, things of that nature. Travion Henderson's bursting onto the scene. Yeah, Pop Douglas, another guy, but he's throwing to a couple of no names outside of Stephon, and he's getting the job done and got the Patriots soaring. So just kind of looking at it from a overview from the top, I guess from the top shelf, and looking down at all these 3 candidates. Zoo, who would you say right now is a leader in the clubhouse to win the MVP?
Before I get to the clear leader, man, I got to shout out Matthew Stafford, because what I heard from this offseason, I felt like I got bamboozled. Oh, my back. Oh, I can't throw. Oh, like I remember all the stories. I was like, ooh, I'm a little nervous. Like Stafford back. No, he's having like one of his best seasons ever. Like, does he have like an interception this year?
I don't even know.
I don't
maybe
think
one,
maybe 2.
I'm looking. I'm like Matthew Stafford's number for a guy that's later in his career right now. I'm like, Stafford's having probably one of his best seasons. Yeah, he's at 25 touchdowns and 2 picks. I'm like, that is a ridiculous TD.
That's some Aaron Rodgers MVP level.
Yeah, I'm like, that is some ridiculous numbers right there. So I'm like, shout out to Stafford, man. But I'm not going to go with the old man. I'm going with a young buck. I'm going with a young buck right now, because what Drake May is doing, like, I think a lot of people coming in this year, we saw glimpses last year. Like, we had some like people like, oh, we see a little Josh Allen, like the way he moves the ball, the way he throws the ball, his mobility, his strength, his size, like his leadership. Like, we saw a lot of things as a rookie that I thought was like he was a very promising guy, and it's just the wins. Like, I thought this year he's gonna put up some numbers. There's a reason I got a couple of Drake May leagues, like as the late round QB. Like, I thought he's gonna put up some numbers. What I didn't project is the number of wins that this guy is gathering up as a second year guy. And as you mentioned, like, he's kind of a rookie still, because he's in his first year. He barely played. Like, Drake May's barely played, but he's putting up one of the greatest sophomore seasons of all time right now. Because and you look at his QBR at 73, that's top 5 in QBR. He's had 19 touchdowns, 5 picks, and already 2,500 passing yards right now. So on paper, like, he's putting up some great numbers without significant weapons. And as far as weapons, you look at his backfield. You got Ramondre Stevenson, who had a massive fumbling issue. Travion is still a rookie. He's showing glimpses now when he
looks good now.
He's getting an opportunity now. But when he started out, he didn't really do much. And they got Antonio Gibbs. Like, they just had a backfield which didn't have a true number 1 running back position. So he didn't have a run game to rely on and pretty much take the weight off his offense, because he is carrying like some of the throws he's making against like really, really good. It's not like, I gotta say this, it's not like he's Caleb Williams when he plays like Swiss cheese defense, he's dropping numbers. Like Drake May balls against really, really good defenses. Like really, like regardless of the competition, Drake May has been putting up some numbers. Because if you look at his previous games, right, like you talking about regardless of competition, like this guy absolutely balls out. Because you could beat the Titans and you could beat those teams, but you beat the Buffalo Bills,
the Browns, the Saints,
early too.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Like, and
not a great defense.
The Cleveland Browns, and even the Atlanta's a really, really good defense. The offense, like, kind of up and down, but the defense is really, really good. But his numbers are just steady every single game. He hasn't really had a bad game this year. Like Drake May hasn't really had a bad game this year. Where I'm looking at like, wow, like for a sophomore, this guy's young. Like this guy's so young and doing what he's doing because he is 23 years young right now for a quarterback.
Yeah, he's young.
When I'm like, this division has been owned by Josh Allen when he's in his prime. And it's shocking to see a team where the Buffalo Bills are not the number one team in the division right now. Which is
it's
like,
unbelievable.
And it's not like Josh Allen's injured. Like, it's not like Josh Allen's injured or is playing off. Like, it's because they are taking the division from a team that has dominated the division. So that's the thing for me. I'm like, I'm going with the quarterback on a team, but you can't even say his team is stacked. Like, what is his receiver options? Like, I'm seeing Kayshon Boutte highlights because he's like a deep ball guy. Like Mr. Douglas, I'm like a throwback to Stephon Diggs. Yeah, Stephon Diggs, Diggity. Like a little throwback to him. So it's Hunter Henry. Like he doesn't even have an elite tight end, man. He's a solid tight end. Like he doesn't even got like a Trey McBride or a Tyler Warren or someone like that. So he's just got a bunch of just guys, and he's making them look like more than guys right now. So what he's doing as I'm calling he kind of still in his rookie season because he has not played a full NFL season starting wise. What he's doing. It's something special. Like I'm looking at that draft class. I'm like, wow, we got some special quarterbacks in that draft class. We mentioned a couple of names: Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields. Like that draft class, let's go down as the one.
Mac Jones might be the
Mac. I'm like, Mac Jones, Zach Wilson. We're talking about that draft class. Holy cow! Versus this draft class with the Drake May, with the Caleb Williams, with man.
Say his name, Zoo. Say Jaden Daniels.
Jaden Daniels. Like even though he's a Band-Aid. Like even though he's a Band-Aid. Like that's the only problem with Jaden Daniels. The guy never stays healthy, but it's looking like an all-time draft class. But you can make an argument that Drake May, after this year, people might say he's the best rookie in that from that draft class right now.
Right now. For sure. Wow. I thought you might have gone a little anti that too. I mean, not Matthew Stafford. I didn't think you'd pick Stafford. I thought you were going to go with your boy JT.
No, I loved. MVP of fantasy. MVP of fantasy. We're talking about reality right now.
Who was the last NFL running back to win MVP?
I believe it was Adrian Peterson.
Peterson.
Right. I believe it was Adrian Peterson.
Would you say Jonathan Taylor's having as good of a season as that?
You can make that
if not better.
You can make that argument.
Well. Might have to look at the stats, but I think it's on par for right now. If it paces, then
his touchdown.
I'll tell you right now, man.
He's
got 17 touchdowns through 10 games. He's on pace for damn near 30.
Yeah,
with all-purpose yards closing in on 2,500.
Yeah,
and you guys are, I mean, maybe not as much as Zoo, Sean, but Daniel Jones, cute story. Yeah, he can't really run it out. Yeah. This team is the best in the AFC right now. And they are on the back purely of 6 guys. Give credit because it's 5 linemen. They've been unbelievable this season. And I do think that if an MVP wins an award like that, or if a running back wins an MVP award, you got to give some love to the offensive lineman there too, man. If an NFL running back is winning an MVP and a quarterback award, you got to shout out the O-line. And I'm sure that he would any day of the week, man. But I'll say this right now. What did Aaron Rodgers say to Jonathan Taylor after the game that they played together, man? He goes, yeah, man, you're the MVP. That's what he said to him, man, after the game. And that stuck with me because that's a guy that has not only won it, he's also a quarterback, and he knows what the award really means. The fact that his numbers, and he's on pace for 375 touches. That's including receptions. Understandable. But Saquon, the reason, and I've heard a lot of people say that, he won't win because why didn't Saquon win last year? Well, he had Jalen Hurts as his quarterback. He had studs on all sides of the offense, from wide receiver to tight end to at the time, best offensive line in the league. So that's the only equivalent I think you could make between the Eagles last year and the Colts this year is the level of offensive line play. But what Jonathan Taylor is doing this year, man, I have not seen it since Adrian Peterson and maybe even like a Chris Johnson, CJ2K. Way back in the day. And he wasn't even close because the Titans weren't relevant, right? But if the Colts finish, I'll tell you this right now, this is going to come down to who has a better record between the Patriots and the Colts. Because I do think if there's a guy that they give it to this year, I think they'd give it to Jonathan Taylor. There hasn't been a running back since. Derrick Henry never really got close. Even McCaffrey, his teams were never good enough when he was playing at that level of dominance, right? So you're talking about the best player in would you agree he's the best player in the NFL this year?
Yes. I
think that's where
at the position so far, he's playing it better than any other one by a significant level.
And I would argue his impact, if you take him off that team, they are atrocious.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I don't think Daniel Jones is carrying it.
Yeah.
And I agree. You could say the same thing if Drake May's not on the Patriots.
Oh, yeah, that's awful.
They would be asked. But I think if you put in another competent level quarterback, they'd be okay. And maybe it would be the same way if you put a good running back in behind that offensive line, and that's totally fair. But, man, I'm going to take it. I'm going to go Jonathan Taylor. I just think Drake May, yes. I just don't think – I think NFL awards, they're a little petty when it comes to giving an award like that to such a young guy. I don't know what it is.
Agreed.
The NFL is very antiquated in that sense. It's not like the NBA where they're trying to pump up the 22, 23, 24-year-old stars. The NFL is a little bit more like slow your roll. We're going to like honor the guys that have been here, which is arguably why you should probably place a Stafford bet, to be honest. And the Rams are looking just as good and just as dominant as the Patriots are this year. So I think you could go either way with any of these three. I just think Jonathan Taylor has by far and away been the best player in the National Football League this year. And I think you should give the award to that person. No questions asked. His numbers are ridiculous, man. And you know he's doing it like every game. He had one bad game last week and everyone was shocked. It was like a shocked moment.
Yeah, it was a shock. He just had 40 rushing yards and
that's
no
it.
touchdowns.
And it was like –
back and drops 203 touchdowns.
It's ridiculous. It's not fair.
Yeah, man, I'm with you, people. When you brought the point of like who you think the best player in the NFL has been, it's like, to me, it's regardless of position. I just think Jonathan Taylor has had the biggest impact, and I think he's been the best player because just looking at quarterback play around, like, yes, overall you can look at the league and be like, yes, quarterback play has gotten better at most spots. You know, I guess little by little, quarterback has gotten better at a lot of organizations. But it just feels like when you're watching Jonathan Taylor, it's the fact that he's rushing for a bunch of yards. He's also scoring. And like you said, this is an entertainment product. And just seeing, you know, he's got his little dance he does. I actually put that on my story for the Picking Downs podcast account. Just him dancing like this. It's just part of his thing now because he's getting in the end zone that much. And to your point, man, like just talking about his yards from scrimmage and his touchdowns, like I was looking at it right before the pod, just looking at stats. Like he joined a 70 touchdown, 7,000 yard rushing, I guess, click. And I think the only other people who's done that before the age of 27, which a lot of these stats are cherry picked, but it's just still the names alone, is Marshall Faulk, or not Marshall Faulk, Emmitt Smith, Jim Brown, and LaDainian Tomlinson. So like that put into my perspective of like, oh wow, like obviously this year is great, but now we're talking Hall of Fame. Yeah. Like if he stays healthy, he's gonna be a Hall of Fame back. So there, it's like sometimes we always talk about with a lot of awards, and even when we do this a lot in the NBA, it's like pedigree. It's like what was you in high school, what was you in college, and what was you international, whatever. It kind of precedes you going into the NBA, and people just kind of look at you a certain way. Like Jonathan Taylor now, if you were to give him an MVP, it's not crazy because he's on that tier of those guys. Like you said, again, running backs, we're kind of looking at it with Derrick Henry. Sometimes they fall off very quickly. But, I mean, there's a chance they could play for the next at least 3 to 4 years, get to 30. And then now you're talking about maybe 10K. And I don't know where that puts you on, like, all time in terms of, like, if you got 10,000 yards or, you know, I don't know those stats because I'm not really a big Hall of Fame guy in either basketball or football. But in terms of, like, benchmarks, But when you start talking those names, and to your point, like I think if he were to get to, would you say 3,000 scrimmage yards and then almost 30 touchdowns?
No, he won't be at 3,000. He doesn't
Or
receive
2,000.
maybe a CMC with this level, but he's like 2,500. Yeah,
like 2,500. Then I'm assuming that that's going to be one of the greater years in, I guess you would say, NFL history. And I think there's a real possibility he could win it. Also, too, I don't want to say Saquon walked so Jonathan Taylor could run, but I think Saquon's year last year, him having such a just insane stat year, kind of put the, running backs are kind of important now. They're back on the map.
Yep.
Now it's kind of got people's attention like, maybe we should look at, Jonathan Taylor because, again, Drake May, he kind of just got to pay the player tax. Like, it's just hard that a guy that, like, basically his rookie year, even if he gets the Patriots don't lose a game and he throws 4 touchdowns for the next however many weeks, it's just going to be tough to give a guy like that the MVP. And with Stafford, I do think it's a real possibility if he keeps just throwing a bunch of touchdowns and not throwing any INTs, because it's going to kind of feel similar to like how Lamar had that one year where he had like 3 INTs and his stats were just so insane.
Yeah.
But the thing that could work, because Lamar already had 2 MVPs, but the thing that could work in Stafford's favor is that he's kind of become like, okay, now he's the grizzled veteran. He's with Sean McVay. He's already won a Super Bowl. It's like, we kind of got to give this guy who some could argue like he's one of the more talented quarterbacks to ever play the game, just from an arm talent standpoint. We kind of want to give him an MVP and be like, hey, this guy that's so talented that we look at as just being a A+ arm, he needs to leave this game with MVP because he already earned his Super Bowl win. Let's give him an MVP. So that could be, obviously a detractor. To your point, the reason why I also brought these 3 guys up is because their teams are winning. So it's also, too, going to factor in if whichever team, goes on maybe a 2-game losing streak, then it boosts up another guy. But I think if they all go out and just say they all win the rest of their games, I think Taylor has a really, really strong case because Saquon last year, you could have argued, I know Josh Allen won it, but Saquon's year just stat-wise was insane. So now people are aware. And Jonathan Taylor's also, like I said, he's 27. So he wins it. If he were to win it this year, like, you can now start maybe, it's NFL is so hard to get to Hall of Fame, but I would be very comfortable saying he's making the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Like, very comfortable saying it. Even if he could just get to 30 and be at this consistent of level, not touchdowns, but just yards.
This would be like his second iconic year. And I think if you have 2 iconic years that maybe aren't even back-to-back, I think that's what makes it even more impressive. That's why I think Derrick Henry's last year was so impressive because I thought he was going to be good, but not how well he played.
He was ridiculous last year.
And same thing with Saquon leaving the Giants and go to the Eagles. I think we assumed he would be pretty good with that offensive line, but the injuries were a concern too. So to see a resurgence like that at the running back position, one that usually dies quickly. To your point, Sean, it's impressive to see.
Yeah.
And what's also crazy with Drake May, like, because I was thinking about just his pedigree, like, coming in, because it's like, it's not shocking that he's playing this well. But he was committed to Alabama at one point. And you know why he decommitted? Bryce Young.
Oh.
Bryce Young committed, like, that following year, which is insane. Just speaks to Alabama's dominance. It's like, they just always get guys. But, yeah, Drake May, he passed the pedigree test. And the thing about him, he just has that calm factor. And the thing, too, is I kind of do want to give some credit to Josh McDaniels because as much as people have ragged on him not being a great head coach, he knows how to coach a damn quarterback. He knows how to get the best out of whatever quarterback. Like, to me, I was sold on McDaniels when he had Tebow running around looking great. Like, that's what I was sold. Like, rest of the guys, like, I'm not going to say there's some coaches that kind of are just hat in one hand and money in the other. Like, they kind of just like illusions. I think McDaniels knows what he's doing. And Vrabel, there's a reason why he kept him on staff. So shout out to the Patriots and the Colts and all in the Rams. And I feel comfortable saying the MVP's going to come for one of those 3 guys. I'd be shocked if it be anybody else. I'd be utterly shocked.
I would say I would be shocked if they gave it to a running back, even though this might be one of those running back seasons. But I feel like these voters always take it's a quarterback award. It's a quarterback award. And
they should just name it that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's the nature of the game. Like, what Jonathan Taylor, he can't really do much else because this dude gives up. He's scoring 80-yard touchdowns, and like he does it like consistent, like 50-yard rushing touchdowns where he gets stuffed and then he just runs for a 50-yard touchdown. So what he's doing is it's something special. Was it like a generational season? This is one of those like generational running back seasons that we haven't seen in a while.
So we'll see how that plays out. Like I said, we still got a lot of time left, even though it is kind of wrapping up fast, which is a little sad. But we got a lot of time left, so to decide these MVP thoughts. But transitioning to our last topic, which is our NFL bets. People, why don't you start us off?
Man, great week this past week, man. Shout out Davis Mills. Did not see that coming. Just threw it in. You got to sometimes. I did that with Flacco when he first joined the Browns a few years ago, when he popped off with Amari Cooper, and you get one of those just absolute pop off weeks with them, and that's usually what makes the difference because they're so cheap. You could argue there's a few. If he has to run it back, I mean, concussions can last a while now. Also, if you're willing to take a risk on Russell Wilson this week, congratulations. Good luck to you. Hopefully for Giants fans, Jackson Dart is starting, but I think he's a bit of a risk with just his play style, man. He's the type of guy that when he gets a concussion, you got to sit him for 2 weeks to make sure that he truly knows the state of mind he's going back into the game. So obviously staying away from guys like that. This week, though, man, it's a kind of a weird week. There's a lot of decent matchups, like the Rams and Seahawks. Some people might think of that, look at that, and be like, "Hey, this could be like a 50-something point game." Well, that could also very well be a defensive battle. I mean, both of those defenses have been making plays this year. Jared Verse on the LA side, Tariq Woolen on the Seahawks side, who was a trade rumor mill guy for weeks leading up to the deadline. But obviously, the Seahawks defense sees something in some of these no-name guys too that they brought in, drafted or from free agency, and they're balling out. So I'm if you're going to play one, I'd probably play Stafford just because of his experience, and he also has Puka Nacua. But you should also take into account that Devontae looked like he had like a stinger or something in his back towards the end of this past week's game. So more attention on Puka. I don't know. Staying away from Stafford though, or from Darnold. I just think the Rams. This is a big game. I mean, this could decide the division. Right. I mean, we've kind of realized the 49ers. Congratulations, Mac Jones. Cute story. But this is really between Seattle and LA at this point in the NFC West. And congratulations to Jacoby Brissett. He gives you Trey McBride points, man. He's looking like.
Oh, yes, he does.
But obviously, the Cardinals are out of that picture as well. So this is a big game, and I can understand making some plays around it. But a couple games I'm looking at, man. Tampa Bay and Buffalo. This could be a huge game. I'm a little hurt by James Cook this past week and by Josh Allen. Yes. So if I'm going to
cost you a lot of money.
Cost me an opportunity, but I didn't lose it. I could have had a lot more though.
Opportunity cost is cost.
Opportunity cost. You're right. So James Cook, hey, bye. You're on the bench this week, man. But there's a few, you could argue the Pittsburgh-Cincinnati game. We saw what Jamar Chase did to them. That was the game when he had 16 catches for 160 and a touchdown. Obviously, Flacco popped off. That was really the game that got the Bengals back on track once they acquired Flacco. So this could be an interesting game against the Steelers again, round 2 in Pittsburgh, and the Steelers are coming off a huge loss. That could end up – that's a Mike Tomlin game, as you would like to say, John, where they just get their asses whooped, bounce back at home. They might –
underdog, yeah.
Flacco. But – I'm going to start him, man. Give me Joe Flacco. I mean, you know what I mean? If Jamar Chase, and I'm going to pair him up with him, the volume is there. We saw what Ladd McConkey did to them last night. Yes. That's Jamar Chase's bread and butter, the exact way how Ladd McConkey played last night. And I just think they're going to keep taking advantage. I think, if anything, the Steelers are really good at taking away big plays, the Quentin Johnsons of the league. And we saw Jalen Ramsey playing safety now. Very interesting. I did not think he was going to be playing that, but he's a ball hawk and he's willing to hit. So, big play T. Higgins, I might stay away from him. Leaning a Chase Flacco stack. Man, I'm going to bring it back with Warren. Warren had a really good game against the Bengals, and as have most running backs this year against Cincinnati. So I'm going to ride with Jalen Warren. He's only at about 6K this week. You know what, I'll eat my words. I'm starting James Cook against Tampa Bay, man. I think, once again, you could argue the same thing with the Steelers, man. Bad game. They just got their butts whooped by the worst team in the division. Well, I shouldn't say that. The Jets. The Jets are worse, but the Dolphins are at a pretty low point as well. I think James Cook, they start feeding him a little bit more. Josh Allen's back on track. The offense that gets humming. And it's a must-win against a quality NFC team in Tampa Bay. So that's the running back room. To pair up with Chase, since I went kind of expensive on the front end, Addison against Chicago, I don't mind it. I know McCarthy hasn't been throwing the ball a ton, but hey, man, if there's a defense that offenses are going to pick apart, it's going to be the Chicago Bears. I know it all too well. And then Jerry Jeudy, this is an interesting one. He's been getting heavy targets, and they have no one to throw the ball to outside of the 2 tight ends.
Yep.
Dylan Gabriel seems to like throwing to him. He had 12 targets this past game against the Jets, and they're in a situation where they're playing Baltimore. Obviously, we talked about their defense earlier. I think they still falter, and he's only $4,400. So you're getting a wide receiver one for $4,400. That I'll take that just on a volume front right there. And then lastly, I am usually when you pay up expensive for 2 high-end guys like Cook and Jamar Chase, you got to go double tight end. Colston Loveland, man. Colston Loveland. This one paid off for me last week with Schultz and McBride. I'm going Loveland and McBride this week. McBride is
wow.
If you're putting him at flex, it's like starting a wide receiver pretty much at this point. The way he plays.
With Jacoby.
Exactly. So I don't really even consider this a double tight end. This is the furthest thing from it, but still technically having it. And then to round things out, Chargers defense against Trevor Lawrence. Please at least give me 2 picks, and they looked good last night. So you're getting a couple turnovers and a few sacks. That's the thing. Trevor Lawrence has been horrible in the pocket too. He can't escape at all this year. I don't know if you guys have noticed that. He's been able to run in years past, but the sacks are piling up for the team too. So Chargers defense, they're only 2,800. Cheap.
It's funny how you ended with that defense, man. Because I'm going with the freaking Chargers.
There you go.
To beat the I watched too many Jaguars games this year, man. I can't handle it no more. Like I'm still surprised by the number of wins they had, but I think the regression has finally occurred with the win-loss column right now. I feel like this Chargers team right now is -2.5, so just a field goal. I know they're on the road, but I feel like there's a lot of negative momentum right now with this Jaguars roster right now. You see the frustration, like blowing a lead when you're up 29-10 and giving up that many points is just heartbreaking. Like 20-plus points to a backup quarterback.
Yep.
A backup quarterback. So I'm just like, if you look at that situation, it's just been horrendous. Like I think this team might finish with like 6 or 7 wins. Like I think this is a really, really bad football team.
After starting 5-4.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like this is a team I thought in the beginning they could win the division, but after watching Trevor Lawrence, like he just sucks. So I'm just, my goodness, like I am betting against them hard. Chargers definitely bounced back a little after that coleslaw. It's like 3 straight wins, even though the competition wasn't the best. But I think there's momentum and getting Ladd McConkey going as the receiver one, where he's established himself as that guy.
Again.
Yep. Again, like we got the Quentin Johnson regression. Keenan Allen, just an older guy. So like, I don't think anybody expected him of maintaining that target load and share load, but Ladd McConkey's coming in that offense and but Vidal still, he's a serviceable running back in that situation. He's just a serviceable running back. So I feel like the Chargers' same 3-game winning streak. I'm going to continue rolling with them against this Jaguars roster where, I think it's just a really bad football team. So I'm taking a good team to go over a bad team, even on the road.
Yeah. It's getting harder and harder by the day, or tougher and tougher, I should phrase that, trying to defend Trevor Lawrence. I do think that, again, going back to my point about changing scenery, maybe that happened for him, but
I agree.
It is a little alarming that his sack total has gone up, because usually guys of his, I guess you could say, athletic background would be able to maybe escape. Because that Chiefs game, like I feel like that was a game where you kind of got reminded of like, okay, Trevor's like an athletic quarterback, because he was just like bulldozing at the goal line and running around getting first down. So it shows you his athleticism. But I think the Chargers as a whole are kind of trending towards what we all kind of thought they were going to be. Now, ETN, I think, helped us maybe alter it a little bit because he's playing a little bit better than we thought. But which is, I mean, even with the Chargers injuries, which is pretty insane.
Yeah,
I still trust them way more than the Jaguars. So going into my bets, this first one right here is kind of it's a risky one, because I'm looking at the team that we just talked about in the Buffalo Bills, getting just rocked by the Dolphins. That's the thing about the NFL. It's just sometimes it's just certain weeks you'd be like, what? Like, how did that happen? It's like, but the Dolphins just came in and smacked the Bills around, which was crazy. So,
couldn't believe it.
Now we're going into next week. Tampa Bay Buccaneers going to Buffalo. I think it's a 1:00 game, so I guess it's an early start. But I see the Bucs at +5.5. The thing about the Bills, man, is like it's kind of the same story every year. Like it's Josh Allen or bust. Like I don't like outside of James Cook any of their skill talent anywhere. Like Keon Coleman was supposed to take a step.
No.
I think the thing with him is just he kind of feels like he's not a guy who can separate, and if he's not getting the most precise route, then more than likely he's not getting the ball. And then, you know, Kincaid has had his moments, but I just don't feel like he's in that ish. And I mean, I don't want to compare him to Brock Bowers or freaking Trey McBride, but you would think you would have seen it because anytime a guy gets taken in the first round, you think he's going to go on a progression where he's a top 5 tight end in the league, and I don't really consider him that.
No.
So to me, looking at that, on one hand, you could say this is it's not a must win because the Bills I think are 6-3, 7-3, I can't remember, but
for the division though,
yeah, but division is a huge deal, and you kind of just need this game to be like, all right, if you're a Bills fan, we need to beat the Bucs because we just need to kind of, even though they're in the NFC, we need to show like, hey, we're still an elite team. I know we beat Kansas City the other week, but nobody really cares about that because everybody, as soon as they won, was like, oh, it's the regular season. And it's just like, even though it is impressive to beat Kansas City, everybody just goes to the regular season thing. So I think this is why I say it's risky. But man, I think what swayed me and wanting to pick the Bucs and this just straight up, it's Emeka, man. Him coming back. Just doesn't matter. Right off the bye, just business as usual. Like, I mean, I think it's pretty safe he's going to win offense or rookie. I guess you would say rookie of the year. I don't know if it's OPY or what is that?
Offensive rookie of the year.
Yeah, I think that's a safe bet for him. He's just the blanket for Baker Mayfield. And again, Baker's really good. This is another, I guess you would say, proven moment for Baker. So I kind of like the Bucs here. Money line. You could do plus 5.5, but I'm doing money line because it makes these odds a little bit more juicier. Because of this next game, I don't have the cojones to pick money line, but it's another one: Kansas City and Denver. Reason why this is intriguing because it's at Denver, 4:00 game. It's kind of a do or die moment for Kansas City. The line is plus 3.5, obviously with Denver. Bo Nix, do not get it confused, is a very average quarterback. I don't care that he has games where he's throwing a bunch of quarterback. To me, his play overall is average because I just think he has moments where, and some could say I'm influenced by the last game he played against the Raiders, but it just looks so bad. And I know it was crazy wins. It was crazy wins and it wasn't a lot going on offensively on both sides. But we know what Geno is. Bo is still in the you got to prove it and show that you're like a starting caliber quarterback, and he just did not look good. Like offense was putrid. So I think there's been not just that game, but a couple of games this year with Bo where it's like, I just don't know if he's franchise material. I think he's good, but it's just Sean Payton's doing a lot of the heavy lifting, let's just say that. So for me, I'm looking at this, but Broncos defensively, I think they're still okay, and I think they're good. And I look at this line because I was thinking Kansas City, even though it's on the road and it's a division opponent, I thought it would be more in like 6 because I do think skill talent wise, they just have a little bit more, and it's Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. But the fact that it's 3.5, maybe they're looking at Denver's defense because I know it's not Bo. So it's like either you're telling me Denver's defense is still really good or Kansas City's in trouble because I just don't feel like they should be minus 3.5. So then it's like if I'm looking at the odds plus 3.5 with the Broncos, I'm not mad at it. Because Kansas City, man, Rashee Rice obviously is a revelation. This feels like a spot where it's like, okay, same thing I'm talking about with the Bills. We're going to show. Like, we're 5-4. We're not in the playoff picture. Time to start kicking up. But I don't know, man. Denver's good. Chargers are good. It's away. I would feel way more. I wouldn't even touch this game if it was in Kansas City because obviously I feel like they would win. But these division games, and Denver, I feel like I think it was them last year where they had a couple of heartbreaking games, but I feel like both times in Kansas City. I feel like they have like a field goal blocked. Yep. Yeah, like they might be due. So, and also another reason why I'm picking this game is because all the rest of the games I just don't like at all.
None of them kind of ugly matchups. Hard picks.
They're all plus 3, 2.5, and then you got the weird ones with like Tennessee Titans plus 7.5, and then the Raiders and Cowboys, which is just who knows. But yeah, I just think,
Broncos.
Just if I just did Tampa Bay money line and did the Broncos plus 3.5, that puts me at 501. If I were to do the Broncos money line, that's plus 712, which that's just you're asking for it then. So it's like plus 3.5. I'm not mad at that. I mean,
Kansas City would win by a field goal too.
Yeah. So the 3.5 is
Indefinitely,
I
I
don't know.
I'm
I just
surprised
think
they
Kansas City. I think it's going to be a close game. That's all.
Mhm.
I think it's going to be a close game, and I do think that there's a chance that it's either a close game or I think Denver wins. Not comfortably, but they win by like 6 or 7.
Wow.
Like I think there's a chance because I don't know when Kansas City is like, you know what is the saying? It's like just getting late early. Like Rasheed coming back is a revelation, and we could all say like, hey, they're getting into form. But it's like I would feel more comfortable if like they were second in the division. Like the thing is, the Chargers the Chargers going to have the Jags. They're winning that. This is really a massive game for Kansas City because if they lose this game, it could get dark early because they're 5-5, and now it's like the AFC is competitive. So it's like now you're looking over your shoulder at
the Texans,
but like
the Texans,
yeah, Pittsburgh Texans. But it's like they can maybe get in there as a wild card, but it's like the division's shot. So then it's like you're still playing with fire if you lose this game, and I think Denver kind of knows that. That's why I think the spread is as low because to me when I was looking through this at first, I thought Kansas City would be like 6 or 7, even on the road at Denver. I do because I feel like the bettors will be looking at like, oh, Kansas City is going to be laser locked in. They know they have to have this game. We're betting that they're going to win this game by a lot. But the fact that they're 3.5, I know it's on the road in this division, but like it's still Bo Nix versus Patrick Mahomes. They're giving that much respect, so it's like, maybe I need to jump on that plus 3.5. Maybe they know something I don't know. The Sharps know. I don't know. Maybe. Or maybe I'm a sucker and they're going to get me.
They're just reeling you in, Sean. They're just reeling you in.
I just think it'd be a higher number than that to me. But
Dude doesn't like that. You got Chiefs Invitational over here.
The Chiefs Invitational, that means the Chiefs got to make the playoffs. So they got to get this win. Because I think
that's what I'm saying. That's why I thought it'd be higher.
This is a very high leverage game for a game in the regular season right now where it's a divisional matchup where they're a couple games ahead right now. Like a Bo Nix team is a couple of games ahead of the Kansas City Chiefs, and high leverage moments. I like Mahomes in high leverage moments. Like he's going to try a little harder. He's going to run a little more than he's used to in a regular season game. And I feel like the offense is, I think, it's getting up to speed, right? As you know, he's getting up to speed now with Rashee Rice. Like Travis Kelce, the last couple of weeks has looked really, really good. Like he started off really, really slow, but Travis Kelce has gotten a lot better right now with him and Rashee Rice and with Mahomes. Like that's just an elite offense. So I feel like in a high leverage game, they're going to play with some extra urgency, and I feel like they're going to go for an absolute they're going to go for it like a blowout. They're going to be trying to score, like unleash some of their play calls, like reveal some of their play calls they might say for the later in the year. But you got to make the playoffs. Yeah. You got to make the playoffs, and you got to win these divisional games right now because you already lost to the Chargers. You can't be losing to the divisional teams. You can only beat on the Raiders so much. So
I'm about to say, that's your only gimme.
Those are the freebies right now. So this Denver Broncos game, I feel like they're going to play with extra level of urgency, and this was almost my pick to cover the spread. Kansas City Chiefs. It was almost.
But it was 3.5, not 2.5.
Yeah, 3.5. I'm like, I can see them just winning by the field goal. I'm like, nah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The 3.5.
But that's the thing, Sean. By doing 3.5, you're like, hey, I still have a field goal, which is huge because I 100% agree with you. They could win 27-24, and I would not be shocked. And you'd still hit.
And that 3.5 still puts you, like I said, if you take Tampa Bay money line plus 215, and then Broncos minus 110 plus 3.5, that puts you at plus 501.
Now, very solid.
Like you said, you could, like, to your point, I think
it's a lot.
Betting logic is Kansas City. I think Kansas City wins by a field goal, but if they do, that's a nice little two-leg. And like you said, if you're really balls, you just do plus 158 and Broncos wins it. Because Broncos have had some games where it's like, remember when they went to Philadelphia earlier in the year and just beat them? It's like, oh, I think the Broncos are better than what you think. So they have that capability, but it's a little different when you're playing division opponents. So
that's true. And if you look at the Broncos' resume, it's actually pretty impressive. Just looking back at it, like they only have 2 losses, and one of them was to the Colts by 1 point. It was 29-28. So
they should have won that game too.
Exactly, I remember that. They should have won that game. It was a miracle that the Colts were able to pull it off. And the Chargers was 23-20. So that's a field goal game right there. So those are their only 2 losses. Yeah. And the rest are all wins. So I'm like, it's a pretty impressive. It's a pretty impressive resume. I definitely did not see it coming with this Bo Nix led team, even though I believe in the head coach. Like Like,
yeah, that's where my
Sean
faith is
Payton
as the head coach.
that dude is just a football coach, and he just wins football games. But doing it with I think an average quarterback in Bo Nix is pretty impressive.
Disrespectful.
Yeah. So, yeah, those are our NFL bets this week. Like I said, we are back in action. We did NFL, of course, and we're still going to continue to talk NFL. NBA is ongoing. So, normally, if there's anything that's pressing where it's like a huge night from a player, or if there's like a team that's red hot that we didn't expect, whatever in that realm, we will bring up NBA topics. But like I said, we're going to be finishing strong with the NFL. So, make sure you guys are tuned into our Instagram. Tyson Talks _ YouTube, Quantrill Knows. Make sure you're listening to us on Spotify, Apple. Give us a 5-star review or leave a comment so we can see that, post it, maybe mention it on the pod, and also get us into your algorithms. And for me, Zoo, and Peebush, we are out.